Hi friends, it is time for a polyamory update. It's been a few months since I've been able to give y'all an update. I've been doing a lot of traveling and I'm really delighted that I now have the capacity to recommit to these videos. So the type of polyamory that I practice is relationship anarchy, which means non-hierarchical relationships. It means divesting from heterocapitalist patriarchal social scripts and unlearning the sense of control and ownership that we try to assert over our beloveds. And if you're like, what are you talking about? Or if you want to go deeper into that, I write about this on my blog. There's a link in the description below. Go check it out. So I left California in July, and to my surprise, I did not return. I left for like a bikepacking trip, but once I was out of the city, I realized how my nervous system was feeling so overstimulated uh, that I just couldn't bring myself to go back. So I'm actually living in Arizona now, and now it is November. So it's been 4 months since my anchor partner and I have been doing long distance. And that's what I want to share with you all, just my experience with that. Because actually, it's felt very expansive and like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. So, first of all, I'm actually divesting from using the term long distance relationship because that feels and sounds like a commodity to me. And it's very clear to me that the relationship I have with my anchor partner cannot be commodified. Like, nothing about the way we exist in the world and the way we collaborate together in partnership. It's just, it cannot be put into a box. So, it's not conventional at all. And so yeah, I'm just basically not using a label at all. I'm just saying they're my anchor partner. Really, like, instead of commodifying it into this box of long distance relationship, what I've experienced in my body and in my heart is that our relationship has just become more expansive. And I feel like we're connecting in more expansive ways. The cool thing about being in a relationship through the distance is that the way that we're connecting is changing, but it's not like better or worse than before, it's just different. And I feel like we've been able and I've been able to deepen trust actually, even through the distance. Yeah, I'm really proud of the way I'm showing up, particularly because I lean towards anxious attachment. And if I were going through this experience a few years ago, which like I have, it was just a completely different experience. When I would connect with a partner who wasn't in the same location as me, I would be so fixated on this like desperation energy of like, oh, I miss you, I want to touch you, la la la, which is like definitely a part of the experience, but it's just a layer now. It's not like the central focus. I don't feel this sense of desperation. In fact, this is the part where like I'm in awe with myself. I'm just like, wow, what is my life? Secure attachment. Our communication ebbs and flows over time organically. So there's no like fixed structure of like we must talk every day or we must text every day or like we must have a phone call every week, which like I've tried doing that stuff in the past, but I mean, you can't put things into a formula or a script. That's the whole point about relationship anarchy. You just meet each other in the middle of like where there's desire and capacity. And since I'm going through these huge transitions in my life and they're going through their own transitions, like I'm not taking it personally when they're not available. I'm just adjusting my expectations and vice versa. Yeah, my nervous system, I've really had to do a lot of regulation as I'm going through all these big transitions and big unknowns. Like, seriously, where's life taking me? I don't know. I'm just leaning into it. So there's been moments too where I'm like, hey, I need to take some space to myself and really focus on like grounding into my energy and getting back into my body because I was in the panic zone just with all the unknowns and things like that. And they're very encouraging. The practice that we have is like just naming our availability and our capacity so that we're not guessing or like reading into it or something. Like, why haven't they texted me in a few days? Like, are we going to break up? Do they miss me? Do they still love me? There's no guessing. Like, I just know. that they love me, and like we don't need to talk every day for our love to be there. It's still there. And the best part about connecting organically when it flows, just leaning into what feels organic, is that when we do have an overlap in capacity and desire for connection, it's so delicious. We connect in the most beautiful, deep ways. It's amazing that we're able to continue like expanding the relationship even across the distance. And the whole point of having an anchor partner, at least within this anchor partnership, is that, well, we are life partners and that we are committed to doing shadow work together. Because we both individually have a very deep practice and commitment to doing our own shadow work. And so when we each show up for ourselves, we're able to really do some deep shadow work together by just identifying, like noticing the way our patterns interact with each other and recommitting back to love. A mantra that we've been saying is, may our love be stronger than our patterns. Bell Hooks defines love in this beautiful, expansive way, and one of the ways that she defines it is investing in your own and each other's spiritual growth. And I'm definitely feeling that in this partnership. But I will say, like, secure attachment to me, it's not a fixed state of being. Like, I ebb and flow all the time, like from anxious to avoidant to anxious avoidant to secure. And so secure attachment is a practice. It's like, whenever I notice my fears or insecurities come up, tending to those first within myself, and then also like sharing those with my partner, so that it can bring us closer together, and I'm not just projecting all my fears and insecurities on them and then like entering these subconscious, like automatic responses to give me the illusion of safety. Because a big part of relationship anarchy as a lifestyle is letting go of the illusion of control. Because like literally nothing in your life can you actually control. Like you can make plans, but the universe is gonna unfold how it will. So like maybe you're close to your plans, or maybe they're a little bit different, but there's no right or wrong or like failure in that. Life is just, impermanent. It's like one of the principles of the universe, impermanence and interdependence. So just leaning into the flow of life and seeing how it unfolds. But anyways, some fears and insecurities that have come up lately is, well, of course there's that fear of like, well, what if when I'm gone, when we're apart physically, what if they fill that gap with somebody else? And what if that other person like consumes their time, or like, I want to say takes over, dominates their time and energy, like claims them as their primary partner or something like that, therefore pushing me out of their life. But in those moments, I just like notice the fear, I address the insecurities within myself, and I show some compassion and tenderness to myself. Those fears are simply an indicator of how much this person means to me. So it's just good for me to not spiral into the fear, but to understand like, oh, this is just feedback that I really care about this person, and this relationship is worth investing in. And then I remind myself that I trust this person, that we've been building trust. We only spent about 7 months together in person. But like literally, what is time when you're connecting on a spiritual level, when you show up so intentionally and so deeply present with someone? Like time is literally so relative, the way you experience it. And we've experienced depths on a spiritual level together that just like, wow. Yeah, I've gone through many ego deaths and rebirths with them in this shadow work partnership. And so the trust is there, It's not like a destination. It's something that you just continue to build upon, and it's something that ebbs and flows. Like, of course, there's conflicts that arise, and then the trust can get hurt, but then there's always an opportunity to recover it as well. In fact, moving through conflict, which we've done twice since I've been away from California, Like, of course, it could feel scary in the moment because you're like, oh my God, we're like in conflict, we're misaligned in some way, or like I caused harm, I didn't show up like emotionally attuned, or, I mean, these are like literal things that have happened because I've been in my panic zone. And so, yeah, I was just misattuned to them because I was misattuned to myself. And of course, that creates a disconnection. And of course, there's a fear of like, oh no, did I mess things up? But I don't attach to that. That's the difference now compared to who I used to be when I was more in my anxious attachment patterns. When I notice the fears of abandonment or being forgotten show up, I remind myself that I know this person, that we have trust. They're not just going to forget about me from one day to the next. And the thing that actually is the most anchoring for me when I'm noticing these fears come up, these insecurities, is reminding myself that this person is just as deeply committed to relationship anarchy as I am. Because I know what can often happen to relationship anarchists, this has happened to me a few times already, is like people experiment with polyamory as like an experiment, or they don't take it seriously at all. They just think it's this inherently non-committal thing, which it's obviously not. And so like we'll be in this beautiful deep relationship, and then someone will be like, actually I'm monogamous now, and then I'm just like heartbroken, like, what, where did you go? Like, the love hasn't gone away, you're just monogamous now, so now we're just putting limitations on our love. Cannot compute that. But this person, they're so committed to relationship anarchy, just like I am. Like, it's a lifelong spiritual commitment. So that gives me a lot of faith that like I just trust their boundaries and I trust their intentions, and I don't, I cannot imagine a world where they couple up with someone and become monogamous, or where they enter hierarchical polyamory, which means there's less space for me or less depth for our relationship in their life. So it's just a practice of noticing, attuning to myself, regulating my nervous system, reaching out and seeking words of affirmation when I need it. But ultimately, like, I have to show up for myself first. I can't just be relying on them entirely to regulate my nervous system. It takes both of us to do that. It's a partnership. They're not my mommy, they're not my daddy. Yeah, this mononormative culture really normalizes the the parent-child dynamic in romantic relationships, and like that is the thing that we're divesting from. So yeah, there's so much more I could say about this, but I think let's just leave it there for now. It's potent. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm not looking for advice, so please don't give me advice. I feel pretty confident on the path that I'm on and in the practices that I have, but I'd be curious to hear reflections. I'd be curious to hear curiosities, or really anything that comes from a place of compassion. I'm not really on this platform to be debating people or something like that. That's not really fun or interesting to me. And if you're feeling inspired or maybe even distressed, about like where you're at in transitioning into non-monogamy, I help people develop secure attachment as they transition into non-monogamy. So you can book a one-on-one coaching session on my website. There's a link in the description below, or you could also join the Love and Liberation Network, which is an online community of non-monogamous people who are unlearning hierarchical social scripts and developing secure attachment. It's a really beautiful community. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being in a relationship in this expansive way through the internet. I'm pretty introverted, so I actually really enjoy connecting in this way. Social media really overstimulates me. It's like way too fast-paced and way too like, I feel like my attention is being hijacked. Like, it doesn't feel fully consensual, but I actually really enjoy connecting like in a deeper way. So that's why I like to post videos here on YouTube. So I'd be delighted to connect with you. Thanks for being here.